Welcome and thanks for coming. We're going to be talking about calculations. It all adds up. So just to give you guys a little bit about me, I went to Pratt Institute for Interior Design, and like a lot of art folks, I've worked in a couple fields. I worked for the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I worked as a designer at a flagship location for Pottery Barn Team. I built and remodeled homes in the Bay Area, and I did some work for Google. I entered commercial furniture working for OFS, and I'm now working at Hat Collective as the design department manager, having been a part of the team for 5 years. I'm well AP certified, and I'm currently pursuing my NCID certification. I have a wonderful human being in my life who I promise is not famous. He just prefers his anonymity. We've been together for 16 years now, and one of the things that we like to do is travel. Together, we've been to about 30 countries, and that's enough me time, so let's get started. You've probably heard it already on other sessions, but how important an organized drawing is, and it's true how you set up your drawing, how you handle tagging and reconfiguration, all affect the calculation screen. If your drawing is a mess, so will your bill of material, and that affects exporting and printing and just all of the stuff affected by CET. So we're going to start with drawing general setup. We're going to go to File, down to Control, and a new box opens. We'll go to region and make sure that the drawing is set up for the currency of our choice. This selection will become your default for this drawing and all new drawings in CET until you change it. We'll talk about tagging now. Some of the I hate myself, Lindsay. I hate myself. Okay. We're going to spend some, I got to just start that slide over. I'm so sorry. I suck at life. Okay. We're going to spend some time talking about tagging. If you use tags or you don't, this is a great way to get into it. You go to Tools and you select Part Tagging. Selecting Part Tagging, this new box will appear. It looks like this until you start working in it. Once you're inside that screen and making some selections, that box will start to change. You can now add a new tag under the category you're working in. You can move them up and down in the list. Doing this doesn't change the order and how they appear in the calculation screen, but it does help to visually find things quickly. Becoming visible once you've clicked on a tag are the options for how to draw a tag. Additionally, when a tag is selected, the lower box appears. Make sure to be careful not to rename the bold main categories. Renaming this can result in CET's brain completely breaking to the point where you need to uninstall and reinstall, which no one has time for. In the lower box, we have label, which is where you can change the tag's name, which will update everywhere it is seen, including how it appears in the calculation screen. Description is where you can write you and your fellow CET designers' notes. This doesn't export to anywhere. And the no pricing checkbox. If you click the no pricing checkbox, the line item stays in your calculation screen, but the list pricing becomes 0. Here at the top view, the box has been unclicked and the bottom image has the no pricing option turned on. You can see that the product description is there, but no cost associated with it. Here's a large project. I utilize my color boxes for easy visual sorting. Here you can see how many groups or individual tags you have of something. Having my drawing set up like this allows me to create and filter the calculation screen. I can have lots of different views here, and that allows me to create paper spaces that look like this. Labeling and calling out this information can be very helpful with end users, installers, and designers, or as projects change configuration, quantities can be done without having to be burdensome. Most manufacturers are only set up to export from tag 1. This only matters if you are exporting to another pricing program. So tagging inside tag 2 and 3 may not export to a CIF or may require you to make a custom CIF. Items cannot be tagged twice in the same title tag. Think small to large for determining hierarchy. If you tag something individually, that will have precedent over a large drawn rectangle. So now that we have a good foundation on tagging, it's important to talk about the different ways you can edit information that shows up on the calculation screen. Some manufacturers allow you to manually override product information. First, select an item and then right-click it. If the item allows you to manually edit it, the word query will be available. Go ahead and click that. Doing so brings up a box that looks like this or similar. You'll need to select the item that you want to edit. Once you've selected your item, hit Make Special, and you'll get this new box. For here, you'll want to make sure, once you put in the pertinent information for part number description, you'll want to make sure for pricing that you pick either replace or additional. And additional shows up as the upcharge column in your calculation screen. Keep in mind, if you're utilizing the preview column in your calculation screen to have little icons of the item, you want to pick something as visually similar to the item that you're manipulating, or bare minimum, at least from the correct manufacturer, depending on if you're going to utilize sorting in your calculation screen as well. If a manufacturer does allow you to query and change the product, you can also do it from the calculation screen. Select the line item that you want to change, and you'll be able to have a drop down that shows up. You click Make Special and go through all of the information we just reviewed. In a similar vein to querying a product, editable articles are also something to know about. You can get that from Tools and clicking on Editable Articles. You add the relevant information into this screen after you hit the New button. The box becomes like this, and you put in all of the information that you'd like to have there. You can remove items on this screen. You can save editable articles if you know that you'll be utilizing them repeatedly. But editable articles are not taggable, so that's important to keep in mind, and there isn't any 3D information attached to it either. When you are done with your editable article, make sure to hit the Close button in the bottom right versus the one at the top. If you hit the one at the top, your work will not be saved. Every manufacturer, or most, have a pick list, and you can find that in their first tab or at the top of their library. Doing that will allow you to drag this box into your 2D space. Once placed in your drawing, our friendly green box appears in the top left. Double-clicking on the pick list brings up this new screen. Once here, you can navigate to manufacturers via their folder here. Here, once you're in a folder that you want to be working on, you can see the items that are available in this section. These can be dragged and placed into your articles box in the lower left. You can toggle between your pick lists if you have more than one. You can create new ones. Once you've brought something into your articles, you can highlight it. Highlight it brings up this green box where you can make selections. Freeform under editable articles is a little bit similar. You can add whatever information you want here, but unlike the editable articles, this is taggable and will have 3D information once you've brought it into the drawing sometimes. Depends on the manufacturer. Once you've finalized your pick list and you bring it into your drawing, it looks something like this. You can tag that pick list, and here's what it'll look like in the calculation screen. Also worth knowing about is you can make items have no pricing in the drawing. It's under the CET tools. It's right here. This drops off all of the information from a product and just keeps the 3D in your drawing. When I have a graphics only item, I like to call out on my paper spaces, if it's part of a focused render, that it's just on there for visuals. So for me, work surfaces weren't on the quote, but I wanted to make sure that the end user was aware of that. Now that we've gone over good drawing practices that set your calculations view up for success, let's go into all things we can do with calculations. You can get there by selecting Tools and going down to Calculations. You can get there with F9 if you have your key shortcuts enabled and haven't modified them, or in the top right, you can get to the calculation screen. As we get to know the calculation screen, it's good to start with fundamentals, and we'll start with a review and then dig into the details. Clicking on File brings up this drop-down. Edit gives you these options. Clicking on Currency brings up this dialog box, which we've already covered from the control panel earlier. This little folder icon here will bring up this screen. This is about your view in the program. I always have these on, but you're free to turn them off. Automatic update is pretty self-explanatory, but it updates as you change things in your drawing. show totals in the top of your drawing. You can turn this off, and sometimes that's really useful when you're doing a live design, but it's also really important how to remember to turn it back on. Referencing back and forth between drawing space I leave on, that's helpful for me, but you should work in whatever way works for you. But you can also change the way that this screen looks with your color selection. So this is the CET default. This is soft blue, plain white, classic gray, and then visually stimulating is strong colors. I tend to work in CET default. Clicking on this plus sign here will show subparts if your item manufacturer has that. This plus button will expand the line item details of your screen, showing finish options and what other information the manufacturer has embedded within the items that you have placed in your drawing. You can sort the calculation screen like you do with any shop portal you've ever been on. It's an alphanumeric system, so 0 to 9, A to Z, or the reverse of it, 9 to 0, Z to A. Hitting the black triangle will allow you to pick which option it goes in. Any column with the dash will allow you to sort. For the hierarchy of these, it goes in the order of your selection. There will be a number next to each column if you have applied more than one organizational sort. You can also manage sorting in the hierarchy by going into the settings button, switching to the sorting tab. You can turn on any column by checking its box. Again, works just like the calc screen and will allow you to determine the alphanumeric sorting you want by clicking on the arrows. And selecting a column, the green options become available and you can move them up and down for hierarchy. Manual sort is another great tool in the arsenal of the calculation screen that allows you to control the way this screen looks, prints, and exports. You click and hold the column you wish to move and drag it to your desired location. You can also control column order by selecting the column you want to move, right-click to activate the dialog box, and you can move it left or right. You can search in your calculation screen using product code, description, or anything else. Once you hit search, anything that meets that criteria will be highlighted in yellow. You also have the ability to move between found items, clear the search, and close the search. The other part of your calculation screen is our summary. So if we open up settings and make sure that we're on the summary tab, this correlates directly to the part of the summary which can be expanded or minimized by hitting the caret here at the bottom of the screen. By hitting either the folder icon next to the tab you're on or the settings button in the lower right, make sure you're on the summary tab. Clicking on any line will make the settings box activate. Here you can enable line items or turn them off. Here's a quick side-by-side of the freight line on and off. You can change the line name here. You can change the way that that increases or decreases or how that amount is totaled. There's a couple of options there. You can auto round the line if you want. And once again, once this line has been selected, the green arrows to the left will be active and you can move those where you want. Once you have the calc screen set up how you want, you can save those settings. These file types, like other CET savable settings, can be sent to another designer on your team. Abbreviations and clear descriptions are helpful since this text box isn't very large. If you're good at file maintenance and want to keep things together or need to know where to find a saved calculation screen setting, this little button right here will tell you where it's at. We talked about manual queries and editable manufacturing articles. For product descriptions and pricing, the calculation screen allows you to change quantity, but does present in a very specific way. You click inside the box for the quantity you want to change. And here's my little pop-up for it. So here it's showing us a number inside and outside of the parentheses. Inside the parentheses, it's telling us how many times that item is physically in the drawing. But the number outside of that is the number that we want, and that is shown and reflected in the extended list or extended cell or whatever you guys are working with. I flew by that. You can also remove something if you've added a quantity to it by hitting the little red X next to the column. Main articles can be filtered, so it's important to utilize other tabs in the calc screen. The two icons up here allow you to click and create a new view. This will be your default settings view, or copy your current view if the settings are different. So let's switch to our article screen to be for the large project we were looking at earlier. We're going to go back to the settings tab, and we're going to click where we can rename those tabs. This is important for a lot of reasons. Mostly for me though, it's ease of access of printing or sorting article views in paper spaces. Making sure the name is accurate really helps. Renaming this does not change the name that the file exports to with a CIF. You will still need to rename those. So there are 5 tabs here. There's columns, groups, and sortings, and all have the same columns listed out for you to choose from. There's summary, which we have reviewed, and filter. With columns, you can turn on which one you want. You can also split by, which I don't use because I haven't found it helpful, but if you do, I'd be interested to hear from you. Some manufacturers, once their library is in your system, will automatically create a column for you. This lets you control the print screen with what columns you have on and off. If a column is blank and you go to sort by it, that's not necessarily a red flag. Not all manufacturers have put information in every column. The grouping tab affects subtotaling on the screen. So like everything else we've talked about, selecting an item triggers the green arrow boxes on the side to option to determine hierarchy. One of the things I like to do if I'm utilizing multiple discounts is go into the grouping tab, turn on sort by part SKU only, and then return my original group setting. So right here, I've pulled everything out by their SKU. I've applied 2 different discounts. And then I go back and I return to my original settings so I can see that most items are 70% off, but the monitor arm I've set at a different discount. Filtering is for focusing in on the information you want to relay or have visible. This is what I utilize the most for the paper spaces and article views. It's easy to spot if a filter has been applied. You will see the F right there. And that's telling us that someone who's been in the drawing has applied a filter. So it's easy to track down if something's going on. Here's a look at my tag screen and all the tags I have off, making focus tabs like this possible. So one of the things that people like to know about are what do all the columns mean? And here's a great overview of that. I'm not going to read everything to you, but you can come back to the slide on your own to get the information. Discount and applying by column is pretty straightforward. On the cell linked to columns, it brings up this window. Enter the discount you want to apply for however many groups or cells it's accurate for. I often hear people mixing up sell price and buy price. Sell is the price to the client and buy is the price to the dealer. So when building calculation screen, keep that in mind. If you're applying more than one discount or markup method, it's also important to keep these 2 straight in your mind. You should only use one method to calculate your total to avoid confusion. Profit is another column that gets used. This shows the difference between list and buy or sell respectively. Now I'm going to say that the discounts here and markups I'm going to use are not real. I like working in even numbers when demonstrating ideas. If we work with our buy column, you can either enter a markup, margin, or sell percent at any level. So for the base in this project, the list is $1,034 each. At a buy of 70%, the dealer will get it for $310.20 each. With an added markup of 10%, the dealer is selling it to the client for $341.22 each for a profit of $31.02 per base. So we've applied multiple discounts. We're seeing a lot of information in this screen. So keeping column descriptions clear in your memory is very important. If you turn the upcharge column on, this will only have pricing in it if you click add a product that you performed a query, make special, or if the manufacturer based on material selection has assigned an upcharge price for it. There's also a column for price lists. If a manufacturer has multiple price lists out there, this dropdown will be available to select from. Multiple price lists can be available if a price increase is coming or if there's a contract GSA price list. If pricing isn't adding up for you on a project or revision you've been working on for a while, I would make sure to turn this column on and check that it is on the correct price list. Having covered some of the important columns, let's talk about printing. One of the things with creating multiple article tabs is also your print screen. Make sure to navigate to the article views and turn off which article views you want to print and which you don't. For me, I only want project total to print. And again, this is why naming is really important. It's very easy for me to see what I want on and what I don't. Staying with the print screen for a moment, if we look at the options on the right, you can use the columns and the views you've set up on the calculation screen, which is what I always do. But you do have the option to just turn columns on here. You can set it up from the print screen, moving something to the selected side. These will be the columns that print, and like all the tools we have reviewed, you can move items up and down for priority. The blue X resets the selection and the red X removes them all. Here's what prints at the top of the bill of material page, which comes after. Here's a sample of what that looks like. And this is where that information shows up. So you go to tools, select project information, and you can change that information from this screen. You'll just have to jump around to the proper line to make sure the information is what you need to be, but that is how you update that information. We'll go through these when we talk through editable article views, but these are pretty straightforward. The other integral part of being able to have clean, simple bill of materials is making sure your paper spaces convey your information easily too. Article views are a valuable asset in that process. To add an article view to a paper space, you'll want to be on the little protractor tool and click on the article view under drawing. Like other tools in CET Paperspace, Article View wants you to draw the box. Once the box is drawn and you click on it, this green dialog box appears. Focusing on the green dialog box, the drop down at the top lets you pick between all of the article views you've set up on the calculation screen. I always have fit content selected. I can do that because I've made sure I don't have excess columns on and my view is as clean as possible. You can also change your elevation. This is kind of like controlling where it is on the paper space in terms of thinking about front, middle, and back and overlap. You can change the style here. This is where you can control how the information looks. So this is standard view, grid, and simple white. And here's what all of those look like side by side. Getting back to our friendly little green box, clicking Show Summary does just that. It shows the summary. Expand. If you have lines collapsed in the calculation and select the Expand checkbox, they will pull apart into their separate lines. You can show details. This will break out all of the line items selections for finishes that you went through. Multiple line text does just that. Think of Excel, the wrap function for text. It does that for you. And show zero quantity is just what it says it is. And our last option for the text is style. It changes the way that this also presents. You can manipulate what it looks like. That's changing font, font size, font color, and I always leave always readable selected. But this is a great tool when you've got something that you want to make sure stays on brand. So for both color and font, I made sure that our typical was represented in our company colors. Now that we know how to set up our calculation screen, paper spaces, and how to print, let's talk about exporting. Ever want to bring something into Excel without having to go through another program? You can. Go to Edit. You can select certain rows in the drawing, or you can select all cells from the Edit box and copy those, or you can copy all the cells. I tend to copy all the cells because it grabs the column headers, so the part number, description, manual sort, quantity. It'll grab all of those names. Go into Excel and you just paste it there by clicking in the first top cell. The information comes in like this, but with a quick few double clicks on column headers in Excel, it will auto format and you get something that looks similar to this. When it comes to exporting, there's also CIFs. Going to File, scroll down to Order Export, and you should get the little pop-up here. There are a couple of things on here to go over. The first is the drop-down, where you can select the type of CIF format you want. Some manufacturers have their own CIF. This gets set up when you download their library. Clicking the three dots will allow you to change the file save name. Looking at the bottom of the export box, you can click on settings. You can export using manufacturer specific information, and that will look different between manufacturers' exports. Export will automatically save the setting with the name of your file. And again, if you're taking several article view CIFs out, you'll want to rename them before you save. Once you've hit export, you do get the option to open the folder automatically. Custom CIFs are important to understand. If we select it from our main screen and hit settings, you get this little dialog box. So here you can control the columns and the export name. You can name the screen setup. You can import or export this so that other users can have it. And again, just make sure to, there's my save default. And again, you can export or import. And again, when you're working on screens that have the close box in the bottom and in the top, make sure to hit the box that says close, not the one in the top. Otherwise, your work won't save. So thanks for spending some time with me. If you guys have any questions, please reach out. But thanks for coming to Calculations. It all adds up. You can connect with me here. So either at work on LinkedIn, I'd love to hear from you guys, and thanks for coming.